What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I am honored to have one half of the inaugural Featherweight UpNext Fighting Championship bout going down this Saturday in Commerce Casino in Commerce, California, live on Fight TV. He's the one, the only former CXF, BAMMA, and international fight Bantamweight champion Terrion Ware. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Man, glad to be here, man. Glad to have me.
Man, the pleasure's all mine. Which it's kind of cool, right? Like, feeling like you've accomplished something where, when people go to interview, you're like, yeah, I did that. That it's so much that it's a mouthful for somebody to try and introduce you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool, man. It's something that I'm starting to kind of sit back and enjoy the accomplishments, because when you're in them and you're doing them, you're not really thinking about it much. You're just trying to achieve greatness. But to sit back and smell the flowers a little bit, yeah, I think it's important.
Absolutely. Now, this is, we were kind of talking off air and I brought it up. Albert was just on. And, this is two of the most heralded bantamweights, in Southern California, if not California history. Your record, his records, the championships. You guys, are like King Midas, both of you, and, you guys are graduating to like featherweight, which is, I think it's like a cool little story. It's almost like like a ushering of the tides and everything, like a shedding of the younger self and, kind of advancing into this, like the matured, grizzled, still like capable, but grizzled veteran with everything that you've learned and taken apart your combat sports journey, your life journey, and it's a culmination on Saturday night. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, 100%. We definitely both of us have been part of a lot of big fights, and now just another big fight, coming here to Southern California, and I know I'm excited. I'm pretty excited as well, and it's just I just feel like that's who we are, who we've been as fighters. We've been in this game for a minute now, and we seek out the best fights. He hasn't turned down fights. I don't turn down fights, and I think that's the fans appreciate that, and I feel like they're in for a show this coming Saturday.
No, 100%. And I mean, obviously, you guys both fought UpNext, the first card, right? Earning yourselves, in very real time. Both of you guys collecting wins, on that night, prompting this now title fight. So, I mean, there was a change in you this last fight that I personally hadn't seen in a while, and it's kind of weird to say because you fought on big cards, namely the UFC, much like Albert, but like there was a change. It was almost like a rekindling of fire, and what do you attribute that to? Or I mean, have you noticed that in yourself?
Yeah, I mean, definitely just I pretty much started and began my career, training with, kind of the same people, same coaches and things like that. And, it's hard. I feel like it's impossible not to get stagnant when you've been doing something for 10 plus years and it's the same day in and day out grind, where, you probably lose a little bit of that fire. I don't think it was much of, me losing, kind of the fire, but just the excitement of it got kind of where it was just like, okay, this is just a normal daily thing. We go to your job and, a different day, and I feel like, with the changes that have been made, the layoff, due to that pandemic and some injuries and things like that, where you step away from the game a little bit and you come back and it's like, it's kind of fresh and it's new again. And so I felt like, that definitely lit a fire underneath me, just having, some brand new things taking place in my life and career.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because a lot of people don't address it until it's too late. I mean, even Albert, was talking about his goal when he started fighting, is to get to the UFC. And, it was kind of short-sighted because like and that's where a lot of people kind of fall off, right? Where just getting there, right? Not having a sustained run, not, being a champion, and that is something that has kind of permeated through your pre-UFC career as well, right? Where like, you addressed it, I don't think I'm talking out of school, but you addressed it on social media and what have you leading up to your UFC run about like, and actually getting that contract and signing it. And like, now you could actually say, I fight UFC too. I train UFC, bro. Right. But, some of that kind of mars you in terms of your mentality because like you go through the motion, you go through the paces, and I'm not saying that it wasn't strenuous or anything like that, but monotony, right? They say change will do you good. No matter what, monotony is a dangerous place to be in, especially if you're in the fight game where, I mean, again, if you're a calculation off, disaster strikes, quite literally.
Yeah, I mean the game, like at this point, man, it's especially with MMA, it's still being in its infancy. It's still a new sport compared to the other major sports and things like that. And so you know every year I feel like the game is changing. Whereas you look in other sports, it's like you have an athlete like a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, a Steph Curry, where they come through. And it's every decade or so where they change the game, they do something different, and then people start to catch on, and the game changes. Whereas like it seems like MMA every 6 months, man, we get a different athlete that comes through, and like they start doing something, and whatever the case may be. And sometimes you get a few, and it's like the game starts changing. And so if you get stagnant, you're left stagnant, you just kind of do the same in and out flow. You look up 2 years from now, the game will be completely different, and it's passed you by. And so for me now, it's one of those things where it's like every day I'm trying to learn something new, trying to learn different. um just be familiar with it and just kind of keep evolving with the times.
Now, when you got to these points, right? Because again, if you miscalculate or mistime an accountant, like if you're an accountant and that's your day job, right? I mean, yes, bad things do happen, but I mean, you're not having the lingering effects like you would, 3 years down the line when that ache and pain shoots up out of nowhere. It's high volume, high risk, high reward chess almost, right? So were you aware as it was going on, like there might be some complacency or, and how did you deal with it? How did you decide to snap yourself out of it?
Yeah, I mean, while it was going on, like at the beginning, you don't really see it, especially if you're being successful, And sometimes what people don't realize is that success can be a detriment as well too. Like you get, for some people, their heads get big. Like I'm fine, I'm doing what I need to do, and this and the other. Um, and I kind of felt like where it was like, well, what I'm doing now is working, so why change? You don't look too much into the future. And that's what I felt like I was kind of get short-sighted on, was like I wasn't thinking about the future. And it's something that I watch a lot of fighting, I watch a lot of interviews, I watch fighters, especially champions and things like that, and just interested to see what their mindset is like. And it was something that Demetrius Johnson said in training with Matt Hume, where it was like they'll be working on something that has nothing to do with the particular fight that they're about to be engaged in, but it's something that he might need to learn for a future opponent. And it was something they were always trying to implement new things into their camp, and go train in new places. And they would often go to Singapore out there and train at Evolve MMA, because it's a hotbed out there where they get Muay Thai champions, Jiu-Jitsu champions, wrestling champions, guys that come from individual sports that train there. But it was going over there and getting a fresh look, and constantly being the the small fish in a big pond, where it's like when he's training at his gym over in AMC, and he walks into the gym, and he's got 10 championship belts on the wall, and he's got all these posters. People come and look up to him, like he's a god. But when he goes over there, it's like you're a nobody again. You got to start from scratch. You got to keep going. Like you go in there, and you're in their realm. And so I think that's something that now I've started to realize, later in my career. It's like, you can't be the best guy in the gym all the time. Like you gotta put yourself in situations where, you know, you're not going to be anywhere near the best guy in the gym, and it just constantly gets you better. And then once you get to the point where you start feeling, you know, like you're hitting that point where you're the best guy in the gym, then you got to seek out other challenges, whether it's going to another gym, or bringing other guys in. And, you know, at least, you know, it doesn't have to be, again, leaving, but even just bringing guys in for sparring, bringing guys in for training camp, where it's like now you're getting a whole nother level, and it allows you to level up.
Now, you know, as a part of kind of, you know, utilizing this kind of new mindset, or realizing that you need to, you know, kind of throw out the Scrabble pieces and just kind of see what comes out. Did that also necessitate the move up to 145 from 135?
Honestly, it was just more so like I had been, you know, since the pandemic, you know, I got fucking lazy, just like a lot of people did, put on some weight. And I had been training, where I'm at now at CMMA now for about a year and a half, and, you know, helping guys out with, you know, with their fights and things like that. And, you know, I was trying to get a fight scheduled for myself, but just other things going on in my personal life, not being able to train consistently enough to where I felt comfortable to get in there. Um, and then I finally got, you know, got the ball rolling, and then UNF, and George, you know, somebody who I've worked with in the past, you know, offered me a fight, hit me up, and it was like 8 weeks away, and it was like, well, I don't think it's healthy for me to try to drop down to 35 from the weight that I was at. And so I was like, you know, the move up to featherweight, I felt like was something that's going to happen in my future anyways. And I felt like it was safer for me to take a fight at 145 and not try to cut as much weight. And that's what pretty much prompted me. It was just more of a timing thing. But I knew eventually it was going to happen anyways, just being at 45 as you get older, trying to cut down to 35, the body doesn't, you know, doesn't respond as well. But it's something that that I do see myself, you know, going back to doing, and maybe even doing both. It's just going to depend on the matchups, the timing, and where I'm at, and then ultimately what's healthiest for my career.
Now, I mean, obviously, there's physical advantages, you know, but you know, in terms of your fight preparation, you know, Albert was just talking about, like, you know, being able to actually have meals and water, like those, you know, those things to the, I guess, you know, the general population seem like, oh, I'm gonna have a bottle of water, what have you. I mean, I consciously won't sip water on camera if I know I'm interviewing somebody that has just cut weight or in the midst of cutting weight. You know, it's just something that you have. But the fact that you're not having to do as much of it, obviously still eating clean and what have you, but you know, some of the physical changes that are going through, you know, like the muscle mass, like, you know, how do you feel? Or yeah, I mean, obviously you're the Flash, right? Or is there a change in terms of your speed or your grappling?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, one of the things is competing at the 135, you know, in between fights, you know, when you didn't have to, have your weight down and things like that, and you walk around a little heavier, you're able to lift and eat a little bit more. Just the mood, you know, you show up to training, you're in a better mood. Yeah, you feel stronger, you feel faster, your body just feels good. And I feel like less injuries occur as well too. You know, when you're depleting yourself of nutrients and things like that while trying to up your training, like any body that is in the realm of any kind of biology, you know, when it comes to just the human body and performance and things like that, outside of our sport, if you were doing that in any other sport, they're like, what's wrong with you? Like, why would you be depleting yourself, you know, of nutrients, of calories and things like that, while you're ramping up your training, you know? And, you know, that's just been a part of our sport, and it's just been accepted. It's just the way that it is. But I feel like in the future, you know, it's been brushed over and talked about a little bit about eliminating weight cutting. I think it'll make the sport better. It'll be less guys pulling out of fights, you know, less guys pulling out of fights due to, on short notice, due to, they're cutting their last 2-3 pounds and they fall out in the sun and hit their head. I mean, we know plenty of guys just here in Southern California, you know, that have had to pull out of fights due to weight cutting issues, let alone the world. And, and so I definitely feel better not having to cut as much weight and be able to walk around my natural weight and compete around my natural weight. And it's definitely more enjoyable. And I feel like, you ask any fighter, that's ever competed and that still competes, the hardest part of what it is that we do is the weight cut. Everything else is, it's what we love to do. It's fun. We train, we spar, we able to all year round to do those things, but you don't cut weight and on a year round basis. It happens, only basically when you fight, and so it's definitely more enjoyable not having to cut down as much weight.
Yeah, it's wild because, and I'm beaming with pride because you've always been kind of wiser than the rest. You just have that way about you. Like you've been here, done that before. It's just your spirit, right? But I remember a particular a tweet or a post where, a fighter years back, pre-pandemic, what have you, didn't make weight and whatever. And then Terrion Flashware goes, I'm not a professional, right? To this incarnation of Terrion Flashware. And for me, just to be honest, man, I hate weight cutting. Like what it does to your kidneys long term, it's just not worth it. I don't understand ideologically why the top promotion in the land won't create a title in a division every 10 pounds and make it safer, but we'll trot out an interim championship whenever. Like, come on. Like, these guys and girls are literally giving their lives and longevity and quality of lives to you for this antiquated thing that is carried over because, no holds barred, as it was once known, now MMA, wanted to get state athletic commission to govern it, but it's an antiquated thing carried over from wrestling, carried over from boxing that I want to feel like we know better now. Like, let's not do it. Fight close to your natural weight, and you'll have more fights. You'll have less injuries because the knockouts that happen or whatever, more likely than not, they happen because you're dehydrated. Or you're rehydrated the wrong way. And the one time you're going to figure it out is the time that it counts the most. So it's just like, stop. But that's just me.
No, it's definitely frustrating, man, because it's like, I don't know, maybe there's more to it than I know. Maybe I'm speaking out of ignorance. Maybe it's harder to do it than it seems. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm behind those desks and I know what goes on with the commissions and the promotions and things like that. But I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen the sport grow and evolve in a bunch of other ways that seemed more difficult. I really don't see what the problem is, and just you can keep all the names of the weight classes and just change what the weight is for that class, and I know they're doing things even in high school and college wrestling where they're implementing ways to where guys aren't dehydrating themselves as much. I know ONE FC is doing it to a certain extent, and so I just don't see. I feel like there's smart minds out there that can figure out a way where year round, where they can do something like hydration tests, do something where every year we have to renew our fight license and we have to go through medical procedures. They got to test our brain, our eyes, and all that. Why not do something, a body composition test where you got to show up when you do your fight license to renew. They do a body composition test, see where you're at, and then determine, okay, this is the lowest you can fight for this year, basically based upon what your body composition is and where it's at, and just make it safer for the fighters. We always hear, oh, we're doing this in the interest of the fighters. It's all about the safety of the fighters. Well, the biggest detriment to us fighters, I feel like, is the weight cut. Obviously, besides getting hit in the head and things like that. But like you said, like getting hit in the head when your brain isn't fully hydrated, we know that's way worse than when it is hydrated. So why not implement something to where, if you're going to talk about it's all about the safety of the fighters, then show us that it's actually about the safety of fighters and do something to get rid of it, at least mitigate it to some extent. I mean, you still got guys, I saw something, a meme that was posted, not necessarily a meme, but a post that was posted up about Alex Pereira. He makes 185. But by the time fight time comes around, he's at 218. Like, how is that healthy? So I don't know. We'll see.
Yes, no, I love it because to me, is this like the mixed martial weight cutting? Yeah, is this MMW? Because to me, the fight, the contested contractual obligated fight should be what you step into the cage. You're not signing up just a weight cut. Yes, weight cutting is kind of, a necessary evil, or it has been for the last almost 3 decades now. But theoretically speaking, the scale isn't what people are clamoring, every arena across the world to see. They want to see the fight. So if 185, whatever, and they're 205 pounds, well, that's a light heavyweight fight. We're not like, what are we? Oh, it's and my pro wrestling brain is going off like, what the is this? Of course, card is subjected to change, but come on.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just, I don't know, human nature or whatever the case may be. When something is done for so long a certain way, people don't want to change for one reason or another. And I feel like in the future when we finally do get rid of it, we'll look back at that at the time, where we were doing this and go like, man, like how dumb were we were to be doing this. And so, you know, but at the end of the day, there's safer methods to do it, and it's up to the responsibility of each individual party, each fighter, and everybody, they're their own man, they're their own woman. They can do what they want, and I feel like I feel like the new wave of the future is guys going to be cutting less than until it's outlawed, and be smarter about it. And I'm already starting to see you go back to the days of the Ultimate Fighter, and guys cutting weight on there and doing things like, man, like that's and so I feel like we're having less and less of it. I know the UFC is implementing where with the UFC PI, and a lot of fighters work with them, and they're helping them out with that. I feel like there's another step that we can take in terms of just stopping the weight cut altogether. But I feel like the sport is doing a better job of it with nutrition and things like that, and making sure the fighters are not doing some of the archaic ways of the past. But like with anything, we can always improve, and we should always be looking to improve the sport.
No, 1,000%. And speaking of, and we kind of spoke, in terms of like legacy and what have you. I mean, this is the perfect fight to make for this inaugural title for this promotion, right? I mean, I don't know how much we can say, but I mean, this definitely feels that in terms of promotion, kind of similar to, promotions where you and Albert both have held championships before. I'll say that, legally speaking, right? But, the fact that this is the first title, right? You guys are the standard bearers, coming into Saturday night, and you guys both have championship pedigree behind you. This is the perfect fight to make for this, And it reminds me, and we were talking off air, much like your fight with Jared Papazian in CXF, right? Where Jared was coming, I think you fought, it was a trilogy fight, right? You fought once in boxing, once in MMA. You got him in boxing, he got you in MMA, and that was right after he had his own stint in the UFC and he was kind of coming out of it. And, Bosun Wang and I, we filmed you and Jared and Jonathan King in the beach in Venice and what have you. And there was a very special like crinkle in the air, the electricity that whoever won this fight, it would have UFC implications, either a return for Jared or basically a start to you and your UFC career, right? And that's exactly what happened. And it even made even better that Jared had seen Dana White and talked to him like right before the fight. So there's a lot of like special vibes that are going into that one as well as this one, because not that Albert is looking past you. He is very respectful of your career, your accomplishments, and what have you. But he's looking at this as a run. Your name, your record, and your pedigree. It speaks for itself, right? So, have you thought? Obviously, you're not looking past Albert Morales, not one iota. But have you thought about what could happen, the implications after this, or is it, Set faces the sun Saturday night and that's all that's there?
I mean, listen, like when I got into this sport, for me, it was all about chasing greatness, wanting to be one of the best and wanting to compete against the best. And so, um, I've said it and I'll say it again. Um, while I'm doing something, when I'm doing something, whatever it is, I want to be the best. And so if I'm still doing this, it's because, I feel like I'm one of the best and I feel like I can reach that again as well too. And so, I'm doing this, you know, still chasing greatness, still trying to be one of the best in the world and want to compete against one of the best in the world. And so I feel like, for me, like it's still just another ring up the ladder of you got to go out there and you got to compete against the best if you want to continue to go up that ladder. I can't just come out here and just be like, I'm just gonna have, some, a couple fights to stand there and ride off into the sunset against any and all body. I want to compete for belts. I want to compete for my legacy. I want to compete against the best and have an opportunity, whether it's at the UFC level or whatever level, just continue to go up that ladder and continue to compete against the best. And so that's why I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at this fight as like, looking past Albert or a one-off or, get the belt and be satisfied. Like, honestly, for me, like, it's more about legacy than it is anything. And just, I want, when I go back and look at my record and see that I fought all of the best guys. And, Albert's one of those names and one of those guys. And that's what I'm looking at it as. I'm looking at it as the next step. First things first, obviously, with this fight. But as soon as this fight's done, I'm right back in the lab and I'm looking for the next best challenge. And, and who knows? I don't know. I'm 36, and so, I know, it's not often where, someone my age, gets another chance to be able to do that. But I'll be damned if I'm not going to chase it. Why not be the first?
Yeah, and it's not to say that it's out of the realm of possibility. This most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter, we saw somebody that literally hadn't fought since 2008. I think the gent was in McDonald is his real last name, but he went by Maximus, like Robbie Maximus or someone. But I mean, he was in his 40s. He hadn't fought in at least 10 years, if not more so. And he was on The Ultimate Fighter, So it's not to say that it can't be done, And if it hasn't been done, why can't I be the first? All right.
And like I said, for me, like I got into the sport late, so even though I'm 36, I don't feel 36. I'm still in here. Myself and I train with Victor Henry. He's also 35. Just got in the UFC and fought Ani Barolos, and no one thought he was going to win, and he went out there and dominated. We talk about it all the time. Like, we've been in this game for a while. But hell, if I'm still in there and I'm hanging with the young bucks who are 18, 19, 20 years old, and I'm outworking them, then at that point, age is just a number. You're only as old as you feel. You got to take care of your body. Now, of course, I can't train the way that I did when I started when I was 24. You got to be smarter about it, and you got to be, smart more about the recovery process. But when I get in there, when I got in there in this last fight, I felt great. I didn't have any injuries. I didn't feel, hampered at all. I didn't feel 36. And so, if we're getting to the point where, we look back and, in other sports where 30 would be an age where it was like, oh, he's getting older. Now it's like, you got a guy like LeBron James at 37, 38 years old, still playing at the top of his game. So I feel like as technology and training and nutrition and all that stuff, we get more technologically advanced in that stuff that, athletes are going to be able to compete later in their careers. And I think we'll see even, better fights, because it's always that where as you're coming up, you're fighting against experience and age. And so as you come up and you're getting older and you get more experience, your body doesn't perform as well. But now it's getting to the point where your body's able to still perform a lot, more efficient and later in your career as you get older. But now you're gaining the experience, you're gaining new techniques. And so now you're going out there and be able to, you're seeing guys at 34, 35, even, Glover Teixeira at 42, being able to compete and put on great shows. And that's the way that I look at it. And so, people can hamper on my age all they want. If they're thinking that they're coming in there with, oh, he's a 36-year-old, he's old, and this, that, and the other. They're going to be in for a shock.
And I love things that shock. And again, an electricity is in the air. There's something special going on. So again, I'm so honored to have you on. This is a perfect fight for you and Albert in your career. The inaugural championship, the Featherweight Championship. You know, where both of you guys have earned and won titles over the course of your career. It's just mine, like my brain is just going all cylinders, like all systems go, you know. So I gotta ask, all right, and I might have linked them right down here, but in the words of the great poet Hubastank, I had something but I didn't. I fucking forgot it. But where can they find you on social media?
On Instagram, _MMA. It's the same on Twitter, I believe, and on Facebook, which I rarely am on now. It's just Terrion Flashware. I'm not on any of the other stuff. I just keep it simple but yeah, you can find me on there, and you know, the support is much appreciated. The haters are much appreciated as well too, because you guys keep me going as well too. So you know, keep doubting me and hate me if you want. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And not so much it's a hater, but I mean, we're going to bring our friend Bruce Bob Trotter. He says hot chicks should become ring girls once they start losing. I don't know if he meant actual like fighting. That's a pretty chauvinistic take on it. I don't even know what the hell to say to it, but yeah, man. I mean, kudos to everyone. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah,
like,
I hope he can. I'll let one of those girls hear him say that, because I know some girls.
Yeah. Tell that to Ashley Evans Smith. Like, she should become a ring girl. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, cool, man. I mean, everybody's got to say, you know. And I would think of something witty to retort back to that, but I fucked up a Hugh Stank reference, so I think it might be time to go. But again, go ahead and follow Terrion Flashware on all of the socials if you haven't already done so. It's right here in the bio. So I kind of made it easy for you guys. But Terrion, thank you for doing this. Good skill Saturday night. I will be watching for sure. And again, if you guys can't be in attendance, which I believe it's sold out. So if you haven't already gotten a ticket already, the luck has run out, right? But you can catch it much like most of your fights, as well as Albert's fights, on an app called Fight TV. They've got Ric Flair's last match, a lot of your guys' fights. So go ahead, plunker down the money, because it's probably going to be one of the best things that you've seen all year. So there's that.
100%, man. And Adam, man, as always, brother, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, the passion that you bring into this as always, man. And it's always great seeing you. It's been too long. We haven't seen each other in person, so I hope to see you soon as well. But again, man, thanks for having me on your platform, and I appreciate it, brother.
Mario Yamasaki is not to let you die, but you know, the heart, the one that the BTS fans are doing nowadays. But go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch is where you can find it. Also simulcast on bodyslam.net. I mean, Terrion, you're subscribed to the podcast, aren't you?
Percent.
Hell yeah. So be like Terrion, subscribe to the podcast. But if you don't believe me, you don't believe Terrion, and I don't know why you wouldn't, hey, here's Zeta Zhang to help convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to According to